So welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank you, Lewis.
Yeah. So one of the main reasons I wanted to invite you to talk here is because you both had just survived your first year of practice. But before I want to get into that, that's where we want to end up. I want to hear about the socio, what you had to do. But before we get there, I want to hear about what makes architecture amazing for you and what kind of drew you to architecture.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to become a doctor. And then I met someone who was a doctor, and I read that I didn't want to be a doctor. I thought, okay, I love art, I love science. That's the thing that Jaime brings in place. And then I saw these innovative container hands solutions, and I go, oh, that's okay. I love it, the creativity. And then I started studying, and it was just like absolutely the thing that I wanted to do my whole life. I just didn't know it.
Okay, so was it when you started saying you realized it was a really good fit? Okay, and that. So you mentioned that this marrying between the sciences and the arts, right? There's a really good blend of that. Were there other field that also kind of had that linkage as you thought about? As industrial design comes to mind, because it is also very technical, even though it is very creative. Does that?
It was definitely, but I think that really like nailed architecture for me. What like as a people's pitch is that you actually really get to influence lives and the way that people do, and that people so they build lots at the beginning, like at that awareness. Absolutely not. But now in practice, it's thinking and more. But I think my very early musings about architecture was to change it. Wow, so big.
Wanted to be an artist, but I was like, I didn't know. I was like, okay. Matric was a hectic year for me. I wanted to take a gap year. My dad did not allow me to do that. And then I wanted to become an artist, and my mom's an artist, and my dad was like, no, you cannot. Like, you need something that is a little bit more secure, something that's going to like give you that real life. And then we had a discussion about it, and architecture seats. I think that, but it was really kind of like a choice. Like it was a random sort of like, okay, being lawyers doesn't sound like really my thing. Graphic design might be a bit too specific. And I think we had a similar discussion around this idea of architecture. It is kind of like this umbrella that it kind of encompasses all of the other design things that you might want to do. And I say that to a lot of people. Like often I meet people in high school that are thinking about becoming architects, and they ask me, "But I'm not sure I want to be artist. I want to be this or that, or like an animator or whatever." So to them, if you're thinking about architecture, it's actually the best one to do, because once you qualify, you can kind of do all of those things. To me, it's kind of like the overarching creative degree, and then everything else kind of falls under that.
It's quite fun, us and we like, and there were points like I kind of would agree with you, but I do think there's also like a little arrogance that comes with the saying something like that, because you're kind of going, I could do anything with this degree. And I'm not saying that's even that was just saying, but it also, it's kind of be mindful that we also, we some person could take that degree and do very different things, but not everyone could do anything with that degree. You know what I mean? Like if you have an inclination towards animation or work with computers, or you're figuring that stuff out, or kind of 3D modeling, then I would actually give it to say that 3D modeling aspect will be something you could do animation, but because you can't, the degree itself is not going to gear you towards being able to do anything with that thing, although it does expose you to a whole range of crazy stuff.
But what it does is it teaches you how to merge a lot of different complex things into one. Like you have to understand art history, you have to understand people, you have to understand sites like geography, you have to have an understanding of the basic mathematics, you have to understand the creative side of things. So got to have an idea of what it means to know art, to know composition. And so I do think it kind of like with every
Yeah, it's just kind of like touching a whole bunch of different